scheduling it. Facebook was kicking back the schedule deal, so every week I say the same thing. Hopefully we're live, but it's Halloween. I don't even know if anybody's going to watch on
Well,
Halloween. They're probably out trick-or-treating.
probably not. But did you see in Bossier what Tommy Chandler is making the fire trainees do?
No, I've been kind of out of
They're
the loop. What's up?
they're jogging down East Texas in the rain to the complex to take a photo with the mayor.
What?
I
That
just
doesn't
seen
even
it
make
on
sense.
I just seen it on Facebook. They had a video. They had police cars in front of them. They were jogging down Highway 80 in the rain to go to the complex, and I see a post with a picture of Tommy Chandler.
What such nonsense is that? I mean, look, we'll talk about that Kennedy luncheon some more in a little bit, but I got to say one thing real quick as we're kind of warming up here. But it was like, I don't know if you were there yet, but when Kennedy came in, all the women flocked over to Kennedy. And I mean, it was like the press corps was there and they were all leaning in. Everybody has to take a selfie. And I'm like, what did we do before smartphones with cameras?
I don't
It was
know.
crazy.
I don't know.
I
It
should
was
have taken a picture or video of them taking the pictures and the selfies. But anyway, we'll talk some more about the drama at the Kennedy luncheon here in just a little bit.
well. Let's get to the break real quick. Get that out of the way, and that way we can get a few shares going out there. Maybe get a few folks in the show, and all y'all. We're not normally on here on Thursday, so maybe y'all will let some folks know that we're here. We probably won't be a ton of people because it is Halloween. It is a Thursday. But we got some good content. I'm going to follow up also, Rex, on last show. We started going down the road. You remember they were talking about, remember that famous King David quote, who did this? Talking about, Scott's audio and trim.
Oh yeah, and the median, whole median debacle,
Well,
and
I,
gonna sue the DOTD or get a court order. I don't know, whatever. Yeah.
well, he couldn't understand how this happened. Who did this or whatever? Well, I thought it. We didn't get to it last show. It was going to be important. We took a walk down memory lane and we showed everybody exactly who did it. I mean, no
Yeah.
surprises.
No, no surprise. I mean, you and I have been on our soapbox about some of this stuff for years now. This is what our fourth year, season 4 that we're in. I think maybe season 5. Anyway, I don't know. We've done a lot of daggum shows, and a lot of them were about that very subject. And I don't know, a year or two ago,
Yeah. Oh,
3.
yeah. It's stuff we've moved on past. That's there. But Oh, yeah. Hey,
Oh, Seabiscuit time. Yep, we gotta talk about Seabiscuit. He is boy, his quotes from Keel News were something else.
pure gold. Pure
Pure
gold.
gold. Between him and this Eric Faulting at the school board meeting, we'll talk some about that. They're in contention to take the lead or take the reins from Queen Monty.
I don't know. That's a pretty tall order right there.
Yeah. All right, yeah, I agree with you. Let's go to the break. Folks, y'all know the drill. Tag some folks, share it out, let them know we're on. We're going to be talking about Drama Central at the Kennedy luncheon. Well, sort of. Some more drama at the Bossier Parish School Board meeting, apparently, with these quotes from Eric Faulting. And yeah, we're going to be talking about Seabiscuit and his quotes on Keel. Let's go to the break, and we will be right back.
If folks knew a lot of the back office on the politicians that they think walk on water, they would be shocked. There's an old wound from a knife in my back that just is giving me heck lately, and it's just really irritating, so I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit.
I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys.
Just, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
Aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse. Oh, folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, it's going to border. It's actually going to Mexico, the buses.
Doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS. We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing, folks. Through conscious shocking actions, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr. In theory, you know, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works. This live broadcast is brought to you by The Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. And here we are. We made it through another intro.
Yeah. So it's going to be one of those nights that it's, you know, going to be a few folks, and that's quite all right. I mean, you guys will be kind of ahead of the curve.
Yeah, well, look, we can't do 100 plus people every night, especially we're, you know, not on our normal night. Normally, of course, we're on Tuesday nights. I had a wildlife and fisheries meeting down at Caney Lake to attend, public meeting, so I went down to that and videoed that. I'll be releasing that on the outdoor news side. And you know what's interesting too? We've got to talk about what we're going to do for Tuesday night, because that is election night.
That's right. And I'm thinking that I'm not going to be available to be able to do that.
You will be sequestered
I will be sequestered.
at the
And
courthouse. I may come up there to join you.
you
Just for the
should. It'll
heck
be
of it.
fun.
It's an open
Bring your
meeting.
camera. Bring your
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah, anybody that wants to come up there, you just can't communicate with the outside till the polls close and all that. But it's open to the public. You just get sequestered in.
So I'm sitting here looking at the notes, and I see you have got some interesting quotes in here.
Yes, well,
you,
yeah.
Are you getting all stoic on me, or what's the word to
Philosophical.
philosophical?
Plato-ish. Plato-esque. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So I was listening to a fishing podcast. You know, we've been doing so much with political stuff. I'm trying to get back into the fishing mindset the last week or so a little bit. But anyway, this quote was, let me make sure I get it right. It was from one of the guys I follow fishing. He says, "Never assume evil when stupidity will explain it."
That's not just applicable to fishing.
That's right. It's definitely applicable to our politicians at the city council and, well, apparently the police jury too. And that's a takeoff from Hanlon's razor, which is never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity. It's a mental shortcut known as Hanlon's razor, and it's a philosophical rule of thumb that suggests people should question a person's competence instead of their intentions. So before we all think that it's, you know, what Montgomery and all his crew are doing this with evil intentions and to make extra insurance money and insurance policies for all these entities that he writes business for, maybe it's much easier to explain that, well, he's just stupid.
Well, he was saying that somebody needed to go get a governmental accounting degree, and then the very next show we produced evidence that somebody's not been doing good accounting in Bossier City.
Yeah, they've been counting the numbers wrong.
Or maybe they've been doing too good of accounting of tax dollars. I don't know.
Go either way. That's going to be interesting to see where that ends up. Have we heard anything about that, or are they still counting pennies over there?
Well, word on the street is that there's some rumblings around City Hall saying that they don't owe that, or they don't owe no money, and they're not going to pay no money. But
Well, yeah, but did we just expect them to get out the checkbook? Montgomery himself write the check for millions of dollars?
But here's the interesting thing. The interesting thing is that if they're all in the clear and they don't owe no money and there's not going to be any setbacks, there's also word on the street that next Tuesday's council meeting, they intend to claw back the supposed pay raises that they had built in for the police. They're fixing to try to claw that back.
Wait. Now they're absolutely on record.
I'm just telling you what sources are saying. They're saying that next council meeting, they're fixing to try to start clawing back money. Now, why
Well,
would you do that if you've got no problems? If everything's all good? I mean,
goes
you've
back
got
to goes back to
government
the
accountants sitting there on the thing with you. Why is it a problem?
never assume evil when stupidity will explain it.
I don't know. Sure sounds fishy to me. I guess that if I were, somebody counting on a pay raise or counting on something next year, next week's council meeting's probably going to be interesting.
Yeah. And I saw on the agenda where they've got, what is it, the final reading for the amendments and the Charter Commission to be on the March the 26th, I think. Whenever the March ballot is, that's on the agenda too. So
Yeah, I
we'll
haven't looked at
we'll need
their
to pay
agenda
attention
yet.
to it. And of
Yeah,
course,
they're going to try to get that to the bond commission again and get it on the election.
right. But don't forget the most important thing. Tuesday is election day. That overrides everything.
That's right. That's
I,
right.
I
And
started to wear my orange reflective vest for the show tonight in support of garbage everywhere. Garbage people everywhere.
I'm just not even going to go down that road.
Okay. Well,
My sweet tea is not sweet enough. I can't do it.
well, let's turn this into a truly adult show. Let's talk about sex.
Whoa! Wait a minute.
Yeah. See if
Are,
we can get a few ears to perk up. What does
are you?
sex have to do with Bossier?
Well, I mean, listen.
Other than as taxpayers, sometimes we get screwed, I guess. But you know,
I mean, I see. I'm almost speechless here. I mean, we're gonna be talking about sex on Bossier
yeah,
Watch tonight.
yeah, we have
Sex,
to because
sex in Bossier.
yeah, but because John Kennedy said it.
Are you just talking about sex in general? Or are you talking about sex in Bossier?
Well, no, the quote was, now see if I'm, because you were at the meeting too, make sure I'm saying this correct. Bossier is better than sex. Isn't that the whole new marketing scheme and
Well,
marketing motto?
well, yeah. I mean, I think Lisa Johnson in the chamber, and they're all going to jump on board with this. Or wouldn't? I mean, wouldn't that? Did I understand all that wrong?
And not just, Kennedy didn't just say it. Adam Bass quoted him at the end of the meeting as he was,
Yeah.
as Kennedy was leaving. And look, I got to say this. So Brian Hammonds and Chris Smith were there. And I told Hammonds, I said, hey, at the next council meeting, y'all need to put a motion forward to change the marketing slogan for Bossier. Just do a resolution. Bossier is better than sex. And you know what Hammonds told me?
I have no idea. I apparently was not standing there for this because I don't remember this.
He said
Is this the controversy you're talking about?
Well, it's part of it. I mean, there's sex, there's putting forward resolutions. Hammond said he would put forward that resolution, but he probably wouldn't get a second.
Oh.
Oh, ouch.
Oh.
Ouch.
Oh.
And he said that in the open. It wasn't just, between he and I, so I feel comfortable sharing that.
I guess that is a little controversial. Well, there's all kinds of controversy. One of our U.S. senators says Bossier is better than sex, and the new motto: Bossier's better than sex. Who knew?
You showed up on Halloween night and had no idea that I was going to take the show in this direction. We're going straight to the gutter.
Straight to it's Thursday night and Halloween. You're right. We can go there.
One more thing about that luncheon though. So you and Kara sat at who was that? Cheatham's table.
Yeah, I think so.
So y'all had a pretty good crowd around that table, right?
Yeah, seemed
I
like
mean,
it.
those
Yeah.
those round tables sit 6 or 8, 10 people or whatever. I mean, I appreciate Keith Sutton for inviting me to sit at his table and extending the invitation out. So, hat tip to Duke is
G-rated.
G-rated. Oh,
Oh,
so
God.
I appreciate Keith Sutton, police juror, for inviting me to luncheon to sit at his table. It was kind of interesting because I was sitting on one side of the table, and Keith, and I forget the guy's name, as a friend of Keith's, was sitting at the other side, and we were the only three sitting at the table. And Chris Smith came over and sat at the table, but he sat on the opposite side of me, so I don't know. It was just kind of strange. But that was the real drama, is the Bossier is sex too, better
Oh,
than sex.
are you saying he didn't sit by you for a reason?
I don't know. He wasn't just. He did say hi, but he wasn't just chummy. I can't imagine why. But you know what? I took a selfie with Tommy Chandler, by golly.
Oh, so Tommy was talking to you
Oh
then.
yeah, Tommy came up, shook my hand. How you doing? Lewis took a selfie of us, said he was going to put it on the city's Facebook page.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Anyway, well,
Anyway, so all right, moving on. So that was the drama at the Kennedy luncheon. Wasn't really drama, but he did say Bossier is better than sex.
new motto of Bossier: Bossier's better than sex.
Yeah.
I
All
I
right.
like it. I like it. I mean, they need to put that above the Bossier Chamber of Commerce, a big old banner, and it needs to be on billboards all across Bossier.
I agree. I'd donate to the cause. I'd gladly pay some extra tax dollars to have that. All right.
So,
What's next? We're gonna get into Seabiscuit. We're gonna get into the school board meeting. Which direction do you want to go next?
I think we have to go there. I think we've got to go to the Seabiscuit thing. So, a lot of folks may or may not have followed, or you may not have known about the legislative continuances thing.
Yeah.
And we talked about it on a previous show, and we kind of laid it out. We laid out where all that was about. Anyway, so the Supreme Court ruled on it. Obviously, they ruled that it was unconstitutional, and been a lot happen.
Right. Yeah, and we had reported some on that. What episode was that?
I really don't remember, but as the case was, you had this case where you had this lady who was rear-ended, by somebody, and they tried to get it into court. The kid and his father, who had rear-ended this lady, had gotten an attorney that happened to be, Alan Seaball's office, and really, I'm not sure if it was Michael Mellerin or Alan Seaball, but ultimately both of them were involved in it. And if I read correctly, I might have read there was 9 legislative continuances. That might not be correct, but if I was reading this case, I may be mixing up one of the examples. But there was a buttload of continuances and just nonstop. And so finally, it got to the point, as I understand it, that even the uh, the kid who had done the rear, they were so ready for the case to be over that they basically, and I think we showed it on that previous show, they even signed on with the lady
Right.
who was taking it to the Supreme Court, saying,
Yeah. Even they thought it was ridiculous.
we want to get it into court. So I don't know that everybody gave it a lot of chance to go anywhere or do anything, but as it would turn out, by golly gee willikers, the Louisiana Supreme Court said, "Oh yeah, this is horrible."
Yeah. I would term it egregious, and they may have used that term. I don't know.
Oh, they used some terms, and we'll go through a few of them. So, if you'll pull up, I think it's Fisher versus Harder. I can't remember the exact name. I got it in the files, the whole folder, and I and I pulled a couple of pages on this. Just we'll read a couple of paragraphs out of it, and pick out of this, and then So if you go to page 6, Rex.
Let's go to page 6 here. 5, 6. There we go. And I'll try to zoom in a little bit. So tell me to scan up or scan down or whatever.
Yeah, if you'll go down to kind of the bottom, keep going down, right there in the middle. So we'll just read kind of basically this. This is the synopsis. In this instant case, the plaintiff essentially argues that the power granted by the LARS 1346, that's the legislative continuances to legislators and other legislative personnel. And that's a key point, that it's not just legislators who get this. Any employee of the legislature, they can cite this and
Oh, really?
continue a case. Yeah, it's not just the legislators.
Oh, I was not aware of that fact.
Yep. To obtain continuances or extensions or fixed court dates on peremptory basis is a usurpation of the judicial powers of the court and is therefore an unconstitutional violation of the separation of powers doctrine. In essence, they come to the conclusion, they said that the legislature writing this law saying that these legislative personnel, not just the lawyers, but even personnel, and I'll just say that to describe all of them, can just automatically cite a legislative continuance and
the judge has to follow it. It's not like they're requesting the judge to give them a continuance. The judge has to follow it.
Correct. And, the plaintiffs correctly argued that, you're taking away the power of the judge to be able to run his court. You're basically deferring the management of the court to the legislature.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, and some people may think, well, that's no big deal here. But for any of you watching, if let's play devil's advocate and play both sides of this deal. Well, let's say you kind of wanted to drag something out and not go to court. You know what you need to do? You need to go hire a lawyer who's a legislator.
Yeah, you just keep continuing it till the cows come home.
Or go get you a job in the legislature.
Now, you may not know the answer to this, and I didn't study up on the case enough, but what if they're not in session? Does this only apply when they're in session, or does it apply when they're not in session?
Well, in this ruling, and I don't know exactly which page it is, but it talks about how a legislator who was the chairman of a committee scheduled a meeting on the same day to which he was supposed to have court that day, and then filed for a continuance to be able to get out of going to court.
That's not right. Should be the other way around.
Well, no, it's not right, but these were some of the kind of things that were going on. Go to page 21.
Okay, let me skip on over to 21. Let's see. That should be 21 right there, and I'll start up at the top. So just say when.
The court here in this, when they're writing, they say the legislature in enacting LARS 134163 unilaterally resolves all of these factors in its own favor, casting aside any concerns of other parties, and in so doing, the legislature conveniently overlooks the fact that this type of adjudicative action falls solely within the purview of the courts to decide whose allegations prevail in the context of the law. Thought that was pretty strong in them saying that the legislature is sitting here, disregarding all other parties, basically prioritizing their interest over everybody else. And jump to page 28.
All right, let me put down my Gatorade here. Let's see. That's the next to the last page. Here we go. I'm going back to the top, so say when.
In this paragraph, they said we should avoid declaring expressions of the will of the people unconstitutional when, as here, there are other remedies, and when we must declare something unconstitutional, we should do so in the narrowest way. So that particular quote just kind of jumped out at me.
Yeah.
This is one of your Supreme Court justices that said we should avoid declaring expressions of the will of the people unconstitutional when, as here, there are other remedies. So that was kind of making my mind think a little bit. What if the will of the people was to have retroactive term limits?
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, so moving right along, this came out, and Judge McCallum, in which he was said to be the most sympathetic in the deliberations, he was said to be the most sympathetic to, I guess you could say, maintaining the legislative continuances. And he referred to, in this case, talking about Seaball and Mellerin's conduct, he described it even in his opposition to the majority. He described their content or their actions or conduct as being repugnant. Now,
Repugnant. That's almost as bad as recalcitrant.
yeah. Now think about that. That you've got a Supreme Court justice using terms to describe actions of lawyers as being repugnant.
Well, I bet that pissed off little old Seabiscuit.
I think it did piss him off pretty good.
And I can say that because I'm short as well.
Go
ahead.
Oh,
I was going to say, if only Seabiscuit had done something like gone on Keel and shown his disdain for the Supreme Court. If only we had a recording of that show and we could show it to the audience.
I mean, I think perhaps maybe we ought to do that, because I'm thinking that he probably did do that, and I think we probably have that recording ready to go.
Yeah, it's probably queued up. So here we go. The full credit out to Keel for the interview. They had Seabiscuit on, the Mike and McCarty, I said it right this time, show, and he was going to talk about some other stuff, the legislative tax session coming up, but he just couldn't resist and had to let his feelings be known. Here we go, and just tell me to pause anytime you want to, dude.
FM 710 Keel, Mike and McCarty, and on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline, State Senator Alan Seaball joining us. Good morning, Alan.
How are y'all this morning?
We are doing well. Hope you are as also. Special session called by the governor for tax reform. We're going to eliminate the state income tax.
Not quite.
Not quite.
Not.
All right, look, before we jump into that, y'all talked about the whole Supreme Court ruling on the legislative continuance. So let me tell you why that was a very bad ruling and why it's relevant to this session.
Okay.
When we're looking at a regular session next year, I can tell you we go in like April 12 and we're going to get out the first week of June. But this was unanticipated because we know lawyers who are in the legislature, we know we're going to be in Baton Rouge in the spring. We schedule our trials in the back half of the year. Representative Mellerine and I practiced together, and during the 3 weeks of this special session, between us, we have 3 trials scheduled. I'm going to be in court today at 2 o'clock asking a judge to give me a continuance on the case. But if he doesn't, then I'm not going to be in session to vote for at least one of the 3 weeks.
Oh, darn it. I hate to hear that. And as a side note, Seabiscuit is a lawyer for the insurance industry. Just saying. All right, here we go.
All 3 senators representing Caddo Parish, both senators representing Sabine Parish, 100% of the senators representing Sabine, Red River, Wynn Parish, they're lawyers. So I don't know what Sam Jenkins and Thomas Presley's trial schedule looks like, but if they're like me and they have trials scheduled during this 3-week period, it's a possibility that Caddo Parish won't be represented in the Louisiana Senate when we convene next week.
But you can still ask a judge to delay. You just can't demand it, and it automatically is granted, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, stop. So, for him to say, I take a little issue with what he said, or the way that he said it. He said all these parishes and these places, they'll go without representation in the legislature. That's what he's saying. And what he's saying is that I'm assuming he's including himself in that, but him and all those other lawyers are going to make the choice to not represent the people of their district, but to represent, their clients in their personal business. When you run to be a representative of the people, I mean, anytime I've run, I've known that doing so I was making a personal sacrifice to do those things.
Right.
But what he's saying is that no,
all
he's not.
woe is them. Everybody's going to be underrepresented or not represented at all. Wham, wham, wham. That's exactly what I hear.
Yeah, I think that's bull crap. I mean, if you can't, but I see the other side of it too. I see the other side of it that, lawyers have to be able to make money. They have to be able to make a living as well too. But if you choose to be a legislator, that's a choice. Nobody twisted your arm to force you to do it.
Nobody's forcing him to take on this case or that case either. He does have to make a living. I'm a capitalist too, but it's part of the ball game. And let's see, which city councilman was that? Oh, Darby. There's the sacrifice you make as an elected official.
Right. And in this case, he nor any of those other lawyers, they didn't call this special session.
But wait a minute. You're going down the wrong pathway, Mr. Lowry.
Okay.
Because that's not why the Supreme Court ruled. They didn't look at the law and what's fair or not. That is not why they ruled. He's going to tell us, I have a sneaking suspicion, here in just a minute or so.
They ruled because there was abuses, and it was obvious and glaring abuses that
No. That's not why they ruled.
Okay.
That's not why that is. Nothing about the law. Let's listen, and Seabiscuit is gonna tell us.
And I'm going to do exactly that. We filed it when the session was proposed a few weeks ago. We filed it saying, "Look, hey, this is coming down the pike. We don't want to incur costs because it's going to get bumped." And the judge denied it, so it hadn't been called yet, that's fine. But the fact of the matter is, I think a working knowledge of civics is not required to serve on the Louisiana Supreme Court.
Whoa, we got to stop right there. Did y'all hear that? Hold on, let me back it up. Listen to this.
It hadn't been called yet, that's fine. But the fact of the matter is, I think a working knowledge of civics is not required to serve on the Louisiana Supreme Court.
Maybe a working knowledge of the law is not required to be an insurance attorney. I don't know.
Well, I 3 branches of government. I think that's civics 101, the legislative, the judicial, and the executive. I mean, that's civics. And I think that's what their ruling was basically saying, was that the legislature was trying to overstep their bounds and dictate the judicial's.
You're wrong again, and Seabiscuit's fixing to prove it. That is
wrong
not
again.
Yes, that is not the reason that the Louisiana Supreme Court ruled the way they did in this case.
Oh, well, I am a guy. I can't. I don't have it in me. I don't know. I got to hear this.
Let's see what Seabiscuit has to say.
Because they ruled that the legislative continuance conflicted with the Code of Civil Procedure. We write the Code of Civil Procedure. We tell the courts what factors they can consider when making certain rulings. The ruling that the Supreme Court passed down last week is absolutely nonsensical. And the fact of the matter is, it was retaliation because of their redistricting plan, which the Senate killed twice.
Hold on. Did you see that? See, he just told you right there. And it's got to be because he's a senator now. Here we go.
Absolutely nonsensical. And the fact of the matter is, it was retaliation because of their redistricting plan, which the Senate killed twice.
I told you were wrong, Mr. Lowry.
It was retaliation. So the Supreme Court, Louisiana Supreme Court, retaliated against him because the redistricting plan was killed. Okay, I got it. It was retaliation.
See, I told you, it had nothing to do with the law. Had nothing to do with fair or what's not fair. It was just simple retaliation by the Louisiana Supreme Court, according to Alan Seabiscuit.
Okay, well, Well, I guess let's hear what else he has to say. I mean, I'm
If we're
waiting.
driving off the cliff, let's step on the gas pedal. Here we go.
The one that divided Caddo Parish and really gutted Northwest Louisiana's
Really?
ability to be represented on the Supreme
You really
Court.
believe that?
100%.
Wow.
100%.
This was the Supreme Court flexing their muscle to the legislature because we didn't rubber stamp their redistricting plan.
So do you appeal this to beyond them then?
No, we just change it. I mean, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So,
Oh,
Hide your pets.
yeah.
All right, here we go.
More than one way to skin a cat. He
Okay.
must have been. Is he talking about, where is that? Ohio?
this is a speed bump. We're going to fix it maybe in the special. We'll fix it definitely next year. But this was judicial activism at its worst. This was the Louisiana Supreme Court trying to flex its muscle because we didn't rubber stamp their redistricting plan. That's all this is.
Whoa.
Okay, so it was
Pretty
retaliation.
strong accusations.
That's very strong. Retaliation, and there's more than one way to skin a cat. They're going to fix it, possibly in this special session that just got called. So, but I think the Louisiana Supreme Court had something else up their sleeve that he may not have been ready for when he did this interview. But before we go there, what is it that you haven't heard about all this and through this?
I don't know. Enlighten.
What's the other side of what's the other side's position? How do they feel about it? Because you haven't heard an interview out of them. Well, it would just so happen, if you look in the notes, I've got a statement from the attorney on the other side.
Oh, yes, Mr. Joe Gregorio. Hold on just a second. I'll just drag that right over the top of this and blow it up as best I can. Want me to read it?
Yep.
It says, we are very thankful for the significant opinion handed down by the Louisiana Supreme Court in our client's, Teresa Fisher's, favor. This ruling not only underscores the importance of upholding individual rights to have one's case timely heard within our legal system, but also highlights the critical role that our judiciary plays in interpreting and protecting our Louisiana Constitution. Going forward, I hope this decision will shape future legislative practices to ensure that the Louisiana legislature will not overstep into the judiciary's nor the executive branch's purview. Joe Gregorio.
So when I was saying that, more than one way to skin a cat, and the, Louisiana Supreme Court may have had something up their sleeve. In fact.
All right. While you're looking for that, let's finish out with Mr. Seabiscuit here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Again,
Governor,
we'll fix it.
But do you think there have been people that have abused that privilege, if you will?
100%. But it was abused on the other side as well. Give you a good example. We had a case where, in fact, it was the one that started all this, sort of. I was in the legislature. Representative Mellarine was then on Bossier. Our opposing counsel knew I was in Baton Rouge, and they would only agree to depositions on dates that Bossier was meeting, and they knew that Representative Mellarine wasn't available. And then, so we were trying to get ready for court. The other side had our schedules. They knew I was in Baton Rouge. They knew when he met on Bossier, and they would their experts were only available on the days that they knew neither of us were available. So it's gamesmanship on both sides. And the fact of the matter is this was not based on the substance of what the ruling said.
Gotcha.
But again, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and this is to be continued.
FM 7.
This is to be continued.
Well, he is right, to be continued. And if you will share my screen, actually, yesterday the Louisiana Supreme Court was not done. As you can see here, I'm on the Louisiana Supreme Court page. Oh, it's not showing all the way.
Well, let me see if I can stretch that out and help.
Anyway, so we'll go down, and they issued an order yesterday.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, there's some lag because it's not showing there. Okay.
It probably popped up in another screen.
Yeah, that's probably correct. If you go into the notes, I have it in there.
The LA SCOTUS rule.
Yep.
Okay, hold on just a second here. Let me back up to this. Let me get rid of this, and let's see here. All right, give us the summary version.
The summary version is I suspect that the Louisiana Supreme Court recognized whenever they made the decision to make the ruling that they did that you were probably going to have
Cat skinning going on.
Some cat skinning going on, and they came out and issued general rules or procedures for the judges and guidance for the attorneys and judges on how to act whenever you have someone that tries to utilize a legislative continuance.
That tries to abuse the privilege.
Well, it's not so much about this. It basically, delineates how, and when a motion for a legislative continuance is made, how to deal with it. And they laid it all out right here in this rule. So I think that's when Alan Seaball was talking about more than one way to skin a cat. He had plans of they were going to try to legislatively write all this up, but the Louisiana Supreme Court just beat them to the punch, and they wrote their own rules.
Rusty Maddox says, sounds like the other side was smarter than Seabiscuit. Paul Johnson says, you better hope there is a check on the judiciary. I trust the courts less than the legislatures. Interesting perspective there, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah.
And normally I would agree, but I don't trust Seabiscuit any further than I'm throwing.
Well, I don't know. I think you should have the separation of the branches. You shouldn't have the legislature having the ability to dictate how a court proceeding is really going to go. On the same token, lawyers being involved in the legislative process. I mean, one of the judges had wrote, that of the founding documents of this country and the quantity of lawyers, it was almost half of the signatories on all of our most famous documents that govern our country. Half of them were attorneys. Attorneys have a role there, but I think the overriding principle is that anytime you're going to run for one of these offices, it's to be a public servant. It's not a job. It's to be a public servant, and you make that, it's a choice. You make that choice, and you can't use it for business purposes. And if using it to delay court proceedings, that's a business decision, and that is horrible to do that.
I would agree. All right. So, do we want to go back and review the man-check emails? Do we want to take a look at the school board meeting? Or I teased it out a few minutes ago, we have video of Macho Woman Jill Savage, I hear.
We'll see. Yep. So I had occasion to be at the courthouse again today. Now that you done brought it up, or well, you know what? Maybe since you've invoked Macho Man Jill Savage, maybe we need to pause a little bit because normally when we start talking about things like that, somebody will text and they'll say to whoever it is we're going to be talking about, hey, they're getting ready to talk about you. They're getting ready to talk about you. And we'll see the numbers pop just a little bit. You can tell.
Yeah,
why don't we?
We'll go. We'll tease it out. We're gonna have video of Macho Woman Jill Savage coming up before the end of the show.
Yeah, before the end of the show. So let's go to Man Shack real quick. Let's get that out of the way because it's not very long. And pull that replay up. Yeah, let's get that ginned up.
All right, give me just a second to get everything going here.
It wasn't too long ago, and I think it was maybe even the last Bossier City Council meeting. You had an amendment or a change order for $2.5 million or something to that tune for the
No,
Citizens Bank Drive extension, and then I think it's also going to some of that's probably going to go to doing something to help Scott's audio. And again,
right?
Scott's audio, I get it. He's kind of screwed in this, but the rub here continues to be, and some of you all are going to remember this, and maybe it's beating a dead horse, but some of you may not remember this. But let's go to that replay video and go to
Okay.
the 3416 mark and
hit play. Just tell me when.
Go.
Question on Benton Road with the newly installed raised curbs, whatever you want to call it. Scott's Audio, you're familiar with that building?
Yes, sir.
He's been there, I don't know, 25 or 30 years, and you cannot make a left-hand turn in his business. I mean, if you're heading north, how do you get into his business? You can't.
Well, technically, you
I've
can.
never in my life seen someone a long-standing business, taxpayer. We actually, whoever it is, just, by God, go out there and build a wall and say you can't get into the man's business. I went out there and walked with him today, and I don't know how did that happen? I mean, and I know it's not you, and
Okay.
we all know.
All right, let's stop it right there because Montgomery's
Yeah.
building walls.
How did that happen? We know it's not you.
Mm-hmm.
Did that? I heard those words clearly. Did I not? Did y'all hear it?
Yeah.
How does this happen? Who, by God, built a wall? No, it's not you. Well,
hold on. Let's listen again.
Get into the man's business. I went out there and walked with him today, and I don't know how did that happen? I mean, and I know it's not you, and we all know the origins, but I don't think that's legal. I mean,
okay.
It's illegal.
Okay. Well, I had to dig back. I had this ready last show, for when we were talking we were going through the Citizens Bank Drive extension, but go to Manshack email number 1.
Okay.
Because we've got a pile of data that we got back a long time ago, and I mean we've got emails. I don't know how many. It's well over 1,000 emails or something or another.
Lots.
It's a lot. And I remember reading through all of this, and if you scroll up to the top of this email chain here, or this thing, right there, from Ben Rauschenbach, Manshack Group, and you see the date, August 2nd at 8:28 a.m., August 2nd, 2021. And this was somebody from down, he was responding to a question from, there's a lot of people CC'd on this thing, but, LA.gov, that would have been, I think DOTD.
Right.
And they were inquiring about Mark Hudson because you remember, there was a lot of people that were trying to say that a lot of these problems, the previous engineer Bossier, they were trying to lay this blame all off on Mark Hudson. But on August the 2nd, 2021, you see this reply from Ben Rauschenbacher or whatever, or Ruttenbuck, Hudson is no longer with the city of Bossier. He retired about a year ago. So he was gone 2020. Now go to the next email.
All right, let's take this one out here and let's bring in email number 2. Drum roll, please.
And go to the top.
Yeah, from Justin Haydell.
And
with Manshack.
And that one is at 8:40. Justin Haydell, the Manshack guy, he jumps in there, responds to the DOTD guy. And if you scroll down to the bottom, what are the subject matters here? They list there, and there's the only 2 that matter. There's 3 items that were requiring an answer, or they were looking for an answer regarding. And the first one is the rail crossing at Shed Road. Well, we know how that it just suddenly had to be closed down, and it wasn't nobody's fault. Nobody.
Yeah, it just had to be done.
It just had to be done all of a sudden.
Right.
And
but
what's
more
this number
importantly,
2?
for the purposes of tonight, it says number 2, see the attached email on Benton Road proposed median. Gosh, I wonder what that's about. Now, this is, to review, Monday, August the 2nd, 2021. That city council meeting where, Queen Monty's on his soapbox about the illegal median was June the 4th of this year. So this email is 3 years ago.
And he's wanting to know, how does this happen? Who does
Maybe you need to read your email there, Monty.
Well, maybe he should consider hiring someone with governmental accounting training that would perhaps, review things and correctly advise the people who would make these decisions, because obviously he had to have been uninformed or something, or somebody lied to him, or somebody didn't read something. Well, how can he say he has no idea?
I wonder how big a boy he is. I wonder because, he alluded in there that it must be illegal. And we all know that the city of Bossier City, the city council, is very litigious. They've proven that with the term limits. I wonder if he has filed suit against the DOTD, against the Louisiana Department of Transportation, for building that median.
Well, why did he not do it then?
Good question. How big a boy are you, Monty?
I don't think he's that big of a boy. He knows the answer, but all this is duck and cover. He doesn't want anybody to know that, hey, I was one of the guys that did this. So to stand up there in front of God and everybody and to say, how did this happen? Who did it? I mean, again, look in the mirror. I mean,
yeah. All right. We ready to jump ahead to the school board meeting, and we'll show Macho Woolman Jill Savage at the end of the show?
We can do, either way. We can, Macho,
Let's do
whatever you want to do. Let's do the school board.
Yeah, because I think this will take us about 15, 20 minutes to run through. And we'll close the show out when we get through with this.
Oh, Jerry Castellani. Government counting classes are not available in Bossier. We are too busy with practicing sex.
All right. So here's the setup for this. In case y'all didn't know, anybody that watches the show knows, but there have been several government entities since the reassessment that have looked at whether to roll taxes forward or roll back taxes, and there's been some controversy about that. The school board initially sent signals that they were looking at a roll forward. They since had an about face. As a matter of fact, we shared out on the Facebook page a YouTube video from the Bossier Parish School Board explaining, with Jason Rowland and the head cheerleader and Nisha Bamberg, who is, I think her title is a CFO, and I always forget the head cheerleader's name. What's her name?
Yeah.
Anyway, that woman. So they did a good job of explaining in that video. So fast forward to, they had a meeting today, and remember, pretty much the school board's the largest taxing entity in our parts in the parish. They had a meeting today to decide on this, and so we're going to go through that meeting. It wasn't a very long meeting, but I just want to hit a few highlights. So let's listen to Nisha Bamberg present the millages. Here we go.
Good evening, President Bertrand, Superintendent Rowland, and members of the board. Thank y'all tonight for coming out and being with us for this presentation of the proposed millages for the 2024 tax year. Stuart, if we can go to the first slide. I just wanted to go back through which millages we have, what our millages were last year, and give y'all some of the information on the roll forward. And so on your screen, you'll see the 2023 millage rates that were assessed. So in total, we have 5 millages, or ad valorem taxes, however you want to refer to them. The top one is our constitutional tax. This is the one that is constitutionally established, and so this is not one that renews. This is not a normal renewable tax. Your taxes are renewable taxes. We have the parish-wide maintenance and operation tax. We have 2 separate parish-wide salary and benefit taxes. And so those are your 3, what do we call renewable taxes, which require voter approval to renew those taxes for another 10-year period. And then the last one is the parish-wide sinking fund bond. This is going to be the debt service millage that pays off the 2012 bonds that for the capital projects. And so those are our 5 taxes. And as you'll see there, that's the 2023 rate before the tax assessor did the reassessment.
All right. So, because some of y'all may not can see it, but the constitutional tax in 2023 is 3.41 mils. The parish-wide maintenance and operations is 10.31 mils. The salaries and benefits is 10.31 mils. The second salary and benefits is 26.57 mils. The sinking fund, which is an interesting name, but for the bonds, is 14.50 mils. This is strictly, the school board millages. All right. Any questions so far, Mr. Lowry?
No, sir. Carry on.
Right.
So this year, as I'm sure y'all know, Stuart, you can go to the next slide. I'm sure y'all know that of property for Bossier Parish went up this year. And because the total overall assessed property values went up, the assessor establishes or calculates what the rate would be. He reassesses or recalculates the prior year tax. So what would the rate be with the new property values to give you the same revenue level? And so that would equate to a reduction in the millage rate for those taxes. In those years, we have the option to roll forward. And so I have the definition of roll forward here. It increases the millage rate after the reassessment from the adjusted maximum to a rate not to exceed the prior year's maximum. This only occurs, again, when the property values go up on reassessment year. Okay, so that's what we're looking at tonight. So the next slide shows you, again, the 2023 rates. I wanted to show you those. And then the adjusted 2024 rates for based on that new reassessed property values.
Now I want to stop it right there. If you can't read it, the constitutional tax went from 3.41 mils in 2023 to 3.07 mils in the adjusted 2024. The maintenance and operations went from 10.31 to 10.0. The salaries and benefits, first one went from 10.31 to 10, and the salaries and benefits, the second one, went from 26.57 to 23.92. All right. And Mr. Haygood says, let's cut some administrators and supervisors, cut the fat. Oh, but Haygood, you're wrong about that, and Eric Faulting's going to tell you why here in just a little bit, but we'll get to that. All right, so here we go.
And so as you can see, those millage rates drop down based on that increased property value. So you'll notice here that there's only 4 taxes listed. Remember, we have 5. That debt service is not subject to reassessment. That's why that one's not on this slide. Okay? This will show you what those new adjusted millages are. This year we have 2 millages that are eligible to be rolled forward. If we can go to the next slide, Stuart. Millages are that parish-wide operations, the parish-wide operation and maintenance tax and one of the salary and benefit taxes are not eligible for roll forward this year. So this year we're actually only asking y'all to roll forward 2 millages, okay? And that would be the constitutional tax.
All right, listen up.
And the one of the salary and benefit taxes, okay? Again, the parish-wide sinking fund is not subject to roll forward.
Now, listen carefully
We're
here.
proposing to roll forward those two. The increase in those two taxes that we're asking to roll forward would be an increase of 2.99 mills over the adjusted rate from what the assessor had given us, okay? And along with that, or in companion to that, we're actually recommending to lower that debt service that's not subject to reassessment. We're recommending to lower that millage by 3.5 mills. So we're asking to roll forward or increase 2.99 on a combined rate on those two taxes, but we're actually also going to ask the board tonight to lower the debt service millage by 3.5 mills, which.
All right, did y'all catch that? So she's asking that they roll forward or increase from the adjusted 2024 rate, suggested by the assessor's office. They're asking to roll forward two of them, roll back one of them. The total millage, when you're done, will be a net negative, to put it kind of in simple terms. In other words, as a taxpayer, you'll be paying slightly less on the Bossier School Board millages.
A net decrease. So
net decrease, yes.
The total quantity of taxes that you would pay would be less.
Yes. Now, it's kind of interesting what she proposes with the salary, so I want to continue on playing through this. So listen up.
Should equate to a net reduction based on these two actions. So this is, you see, is what we are asking the board to approve tonight for the 2024 millage rate. And so you'll see the two that we're asking to roll forward, that constitutional, and then the fourth tax that's listed, the parish-wide salary and benefit, and you'll also see that reduced parish-wide sinking fund bond.
All right, I want to stop right there because Ms. Jerry asked sinking fund explain. So I'm no expert on all of this, but apparently that is to pay off the interest and debt through one or more bond initiatives. And we were also asked the question, why are there two of them for parish-wide salaries and benefits? Well, because the voters approved two separate millages for salaries and benefits. That's why. All right, but it's kind of interesting because she talks about moving monies over for salaries and benefits. So it's coming up here in just a second.
The next chart's a good one. It shows all of them side by side. What was the rate last year? What was the reassessed rate? And then what are we going to ask the board to approve tonight? And so this is our recommendation to roll forward those two taxes. One thing I really like about it is we're able to move the tax revenue from the debt service, which is committed only to pay off that bond, over to the salary and benefits and maintenance operation. We can use those for salaries. And so that moves the money over to where we're wanting to use it, which is to help pay additional salaries.
Did y'all catch that? Basically, pay raises. Now, Mr. Haygood says nothing is decreasing. You are still paying more than last year. Well, technically, and normally I wouldn't side with the school board, but technically you're paying a decreased rate according to this math and what they voted on. Yeah, your value went up, but the rate you're paying, at least to the school board, is going to have a slightly net decrease. I'm going to show an example of what you'll pay here in just a few minutes. All right, so let's listen for just another minute or two, and then we'll move on.
And help provide for future raises, okay? So that is what we're really wanting to do. That is the point of asking the board for a roll forward tonight, is we want to be able to move that money from a very restricted source over to this other area that we can use for salaries and benefits.
If only they had thought of this back in 2019. If only. You knew I had to throw that in there. All right, so what is this going to mean for a taxpayer? So I did a little chart, and I will post this on Bossier Watch after the show or in the morning. And I know it's a little hard to read. I used their chart and plugged in a few things. But basically, It's going to be a decrease, or I'm sorry, an increase of 2.99 mils on the constitutional tax and on the parish-wide salaries and benefits. Okay, the constitutional, they're raising from 3.07 mils to 3.41. The one salaries and benefits is going from 23.92 to 26.57. That's a net increase of 2.99 mils in taxes. But this parish-wide sinking fund bonds millage is going from 14.50 down to 11 mils. That's a decrease of 3.5 mils. So overall, that is a net decrease of 0.51 mils. Okay? So how does the math work out on that? Okay, so on a $200,000 assessed property, you will save $6.38, if my math is correct, and I'm pretty sure it is. So on a $200,000 assessed property, let's say it's a home in Bossier Parish, you have $75,000 homestead exemption. That drops you down to $125,000. $125,000 times 10% assessed is a $12,500 taxable amount. $12,500 times 0.00051 is $6.38. So technically, I hate to say saving money, but technically they're having a net decrease overall. And like I said, normally I wouldn't really defend the school board. I'm not necessarily defending them right now. And too bad they didn't come up with this a few years ago.
Well, the big picture thing here is all that they're doing is they're making use of different funds, and the thing is what funds were originally passed for what purpose, and they're just increasing the revenue in one fund that can be used for one things and decreasing it in another that could be used for other things. And she said it in the video you showed a while ago, which was pay raises,
Right.
She said it.
She did. All right. So hopefully that's relatively clear to everybody. Like I said, I'll post my little chart on the Facebook page and on YouTube after the show or in the morning when I get to it, just to make it clear to everybody. So they did go ahead and vote to do both of those things. But before they did it, there were some comments, and I got to go through some of these. One of them was from a guy named Ben Rayford. And Ben was talking about, he calculated on his home that it was going to cost him about $200 and something more overall in all of the tax deals that are going on and the increased valuation of his property. And that prompted Eric Faulting to make these comments after the public commentary period was over. And this is just unbelievable. So let's listen in.
Board, Mr. Faulting, one of the things I would like to see is that if this passes, I would rather not hear we're going to use it for salaries. I would rather there be a definite plan, at least by the December school board meeting, that we're going to be presented with a plan for permanent pay raises starting in the 25-26 school year. I think this is serious enough that we have the right to ask, that we don't want it to be, well, we're going to see what we can do and we're going to do this and we'll bring it next. I think December gives you plenty of time to come up with a plan for our teachers because they deserve it.
Now, I got to say, I agree with him in principle on what he's saying here. He's saying, hey, if this is what y'all are proposing, let's basically get it in writing that this is where that money is going to go, and let's come up with a plan to do it. So this part of it, I pretty much agree with Eric. But there's more. Here in about 30 seconds. Here we go.
They've earned it. It's been 12 years since they've had a pay raise. I want to certain that if I vote whatever we vote, that yes, this is going to happen. Granted, you can't give us a dollar amount. I get that, but at least have a plan before the teachers are out for the holidays so they can come back with an excitement, and then the 25-26 school year. I'm assuming that's when, if we past this, that's when it would go into effect, 25-26 school year. Does that make sense?
Are you talking about the tax, or are you talking about any potential raises?
Permanent pay raises, yes.
It would be for the 25-26 school year. Yes, sir.
Right. Yeah, I would like to see that, by December.
Now listen.
I think all of our taxes went up, but one of the people that what they're forgetting is that as our city is growing, we want to keep good teachers. Everything is growing, and at the end of the day, the people that are up here that are complaining their taxes are going up. $257, Mr. Rayford, to have our education system continue to grow is worth it to me to give a teacher a pay raise. And if $257 a year is not worth it to you, then you, sir, are part of the problem of Bossier growing.
Did y'all hear that?
Oh, wait a minute. So did he just say that if you don't want to pay more taxes, you're part of the problem?
You are part of the problem. Yes, he did. And if there is any doubt about that, let me go back and let me play it one more time.
Forgetting is that as our city is growing, we want to keep good teachers. Everything is growing. And at the end of the day, the people that are up here that are complaining their taxes are going up. $257, Mr. Rayford, to have our education system continue to grow is worth it to me to give a teacher a pay raise. And if $257 a year is not worth it to you, then you, sir, are part of the problem of Bossier growing.
But okay, wait a minute. So did I the governmental accounting chick on here, Nisha Bamberg? So did I not hear her articulate correctly that the tax assessor does a calculation when they reassess properties? He then makes a calculation of what you would have to set your millage rates at to maintain the revenue coming in that you previously had coming in to support the operations that you have, right?
Yes, that is literally the definition of a roll forward.
But what he's saying is that if you don't support an increase in taxes, you're part of the problem.
Yes. That's literally what he said. What a
Okay.
dumbass. Yes, Eric Paulting.
So revenue is growing with the growth of the city. You get more houses, more things built, reassessments. So the money increases, but then you have a calculation done to where you maintain the money. I don't know.
But if you don't like your taxes going up so they can pay the school teachers because they're not top heavy, and he's going to tell us that here in a minute, foreshadowing, you, Duke Lowry, are part of the problem. And you, Ryan Haygood, and you, Lisa Allen, and you, Kara, y'all are all part of the problem.
Okay, look, I'm just going to say Eric's having a bad day. Okay, I'm just going to say.
I might say that. Maybe he misspoke, but wait, there's more.
Oh,
here we go.
And at the end of the day, the people that are worried about their values going up, I would be willing to bet you $1 million if y'all go to sell your house, borrow against your house, concerned about the property value, you won't use the property value that the tax assessor gave you last year. You're going to use the one that they gave you this year. So in essence, you want your property value to be up more, but you don't want to pay for it. So it'd be like you want to buy a car in 2024, but you only want to pay taxes on 2012. So,
well, he's right there.
He's got a point.
I mean, he's right on that. I mean, people,
he has a point there.
Everybody wants their cake and wants to eat it too. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, well, and Bobby made that point when he was on the show with us, is that, okay, yes, your overall taxes are increasing, but the value of your property is also increasing along with it. He just sets the assessed value, not the tax rates or millage, with the exception of his office. So,
right.
And it's the same thing here. There, yes, the amount of total taxes you're paying is going up based on your assessed value, if your assessed value went up, but they are doing a slight decrease and then, doing the little shell trick with the money to move the money over ostensibly for pay raises.
Why do I have this sneaking suspicion that we're creeping towards it's Bobby's fault? Why am I thinking we're getting near that argument?
What would clue you into that? But wait, there's more.
All right, go ahead.
in that y'all don't think our teachers are worth that. And because it's not just our teachers, it's our custodians, it's our cafeteria workers. They're struggling as well. Their taxes are going up as well.
But wait a minute, two things. One, he's pulling at the heartstrings, and yes, I agree your teachers should be paid more, hoorah, hoorah, and all that stuff. But the fact of the matter is, when he starts pulling at those heartstrings and he's talking about the custodians and all that, they're generally not going to be in an upper income bracket, and their home might be under the homestead exemption anyway. So that's kind of a silly point, but here we go.
And at the end of the day, you don't have us to complain to. You have the tax assessor. He raised your values, not us. And, for our teachers that are struggling to make ends meet, it's real easy for the people that have plenty of money to complain about paying an extra $300 a year. What about the custodian that's paying, barely making it paycheck to paycheck? This is who we're going to impact. This is how we're going to keep good teachers. They're leaving us to go to Caddo Parish. They're leaving us to go out of the state. We're behind the curve. And before I get the whole spill about, we have enough money to do this and we're top heavy and all this. Well, guess what? We've done a full blown research company come in and audit us, and we are not top heavy.
All right, time out. You know what I'm going to fire off? The public information request is coming for the salaries of the teachers and the administrators again, because I can tell you for sure, without a doubt, it's the reason the teachers union woman started sputtering and spattering everywhere on that interview back in 2019 is because we started publishing those salaries. And let me just tell you, folks, at least in 2019, and I doubt they have gotten any better, they are as top heavy. I'm surprised they don't fall over. Not the teachers, the administration and staff. There were, I forget the exact number, but there were like 30 employees over 75 to 80,000 administrative employees.
Boy. Well, we're going to have to go down that road.
Yes, we are. Okay, here we go. But you did call it. He blamed Bobby. Blame Bobby's office. It's not their fault. It's Bobby's office. Let's listen again.
They are struggling as well. Their taxes are going up as well. And at the end of the day, you don't have us to complain to. You have the tax assessor. He raised your values, not us. And, for our team.
He raised the value. Yeah, he did raise the values. He didn't raise the tax rate. He held his tax rate at the same. You guys literally, although you did decrease one to offset it, but you guys literally rolled forward. That is raising taxes on two of your millages.
I was joking. I really didn't know that he was. It's Bobby's fault. Okay. All right.
Your fault, Mr. Edmonston. All right, here we go.
Teachers that are struggling to make ends meet. It's real easy for the people that have plenty of money to complain about paying an extra $300 a year. What about the custodian that's paying, barely making it paycheck to paycheck? This is who we're going to impact. This is how we're going to keep good teachers. They're leaving us to go to Caddo Parish.
He's going to pay $300 a year too, probably.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, he's fine with it, though. And just because he thinks it's fine, well, you should too. That's called class warfare. But here we go. There's more.
Leaving us to go out of the state, we're behind the curve. And before I get the whole spill about, we have enough money to do this and we're top heavy and all this. Well, guess what? We've done a full blown research company come in and audit us, and we are not top heavy. So your opinions of top heavy are wrong.
I can prove it with facts, and we've even published some salaries.
We need this money to grow this
I want to see the study.
City, to grow this parish, to keep good teachers. We are losing teachers at a rapid rate, and they deserve to have a pay raise for the first time in 12 years.
Listen, now y'all heard him. First time in 12 years, they deserve a pay raise. You heard that, right? And I think, who was it that commented? Where was it? Somebody in the comments.
Diddy Clark, I think.
Yeah. All right, so listen carefully, because he just said 12 years.
So that's pretty much all I got. But December, I would like to have a December deadline for.
I can give you the exact dates, but we have given a raise in the last 12 years. If you want me to give you the dates, I've got a list I can pull up real quick.
Well, no, I don't want all.
Oh, no. Don't prove me wrong. No. Don't pull up the dates when we gave them the no. Don't prove me wrong. This is too much fun. He's like the David Montgomery of the school board.
Nah, come on now. You can't go that far. I mean, look, he's just
Well, he's getting close. He's trying to do sound bites, but he's doing them all wrong.
No, I can't let you can't. No. That's
poor
going a little bit
Eric.
too far. I mean, look, sometimes you say things and you're wrong, and you have to eat a little crow. That's just the way it goes. I mean, he's trying to defend teachers. He's trying to defend what he's there supporting. I mean, he made two.
But dazzle us with brilliance. Don't baffle us with BS.
Yeah. I'm not carrying his water. I mean, look, the taxes thing. I mean, if you don't support taxes, then you're the problem.
During the school board race, did you have an Eric Faulting sign in your yard and I didn't know about it?
No, I didn't. But I'm just saying. Obviously, I don't agree with that. And then he's just throwing out Bobby Edmonston. I mean, and obviously, I don't agree. That ain't right either. And then they had that, and then Nisha's calling him out on the 12 years. He's having a bad day. That's all I'm gonna
say. Mr. Sal, I don't even know if this comment will fit on the screen. Hold on. Wow. There is so much idiocy in Faulting Screed besides where Bamberg busted him. Latest but somewhat dated data have school board teachers 6th highest in salary. Don't know what study he's talking about, but school board Bossier Parish has higher than average proportion of administrative expenses among LEA. Blah blah blah. And yes, and the Colonel did have some comments. I just didn't play them for the essence of time tonight because I wanted to get into this part of it. But you're right, Mr. Sadow. Thanks for writing an article in the commentary. Yeah. So here we go.
I would like to have a December deadline for.
I can give you the exact dates, but we have given a raise in the last 12 years. If you want me to give you the dates, I've got a list I can pull up real quick.
Well, no, I don't want all that. It's not on us. We haven't been able to give them a noticeable pay raise like when you did the salary restructure, which was amazing, and you did an amazing job. But we were told that not to say that was a raise because some of the teachers they.
Yes, sir. I think we gave one the year before that, but I can get you. I'll get you those dates.
That sounds like another public information request. When were they told? By whom? And did they send it by carrier pigeon, or how did they send that directive? All right. I could keep going. So they ended up voting in these two. The 2 millages that they're increasing, the 1 millage that they're decreasing, and so that's the gist of this special meeting.
It's overall not a raise. It's overall you're gonna be able to go get a hamburger.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's going to have to be like a Happy Meal, and you might not get much change back.
Okay, then you go get a Slim Jim.
Yeah, Slim Jim. There you go. All right. What else, Mr. Lowry? Is it time to show some WrestleMania?
You didn't get it, did you? You didn't. It went right over your head, too. Yeah.
Wait.
Randy Macho Man Savage, baby.
All right, so I'm going to play and this is the whole unedited video that you dropped in the folder. So set this up. So paging Macho Woman Jill Savage, we're about to show you off.
So I had occasion that I had to be at the courthouse today, and it was not where I wanted to be, but I got to tell you, it ended up being entertaining. It wasn't the worst thing that's ever happened to me. But when I showed up there, there was just, a gaggle of people there. I mean, Senator Adam Bass, Representative Bamberg was there. And for a moment, they thought I was there for the same reasons they were there, but I was not. And interesting, there was a lot of people in Halloween garb.
Imagine that. They always do such a good job of decorating the clerk of court's office for holidays and special occasions.
The interesting thing was at that moment I realized it was Halloween. Until then, I was oblivious.
Didn't
Just
realize that.
how I woke up today. But
Yeah.
anyway, so you just got to play the video.
All
I
right.
mean, and Randy Macho Man Savage. If you watched wrestling and you knew, I mean, you've seen Trump lately coming out to the new Undertaker theme when he come out on stage.
Oh yeah.
You seen that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then y'all remember Hulk Hogan and
Oh yeah.
No way you can't remember Randy Macho
Andre
Man
the
Savage.
Andre the Giant.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Jimmy Superfly Snuka. All right, here we go. Let's roll the video.
All right, give it to me. Step into a Slim Jim.
You know how he did it?
Step into a Slim Jim.
I can do it.
Step into a Slim Jim!
We gotta watch that again. That was good.
All right, give it to me. Step into a Slim Jim.
You know how he did it?
Step into a Slim Jim.
I can do it.
Step into a Slim
Jim! That's it. We're going to end the show on this scene right here. This is great. One thing about the office up there and the clerk of courts and the registrar of voters, it is never a dull moment up there.
Not a dull moment at all, apparently.
And Macho Woman Jill Savage, we salute you on this Halloween Eve. You got anything else, Mr. Lowry?
Good night. I'm out of here.
We're out of here, and I'm going to roll this one more time, and we're out.
I can do it.
Step into a Slim Jim!